Right.
That's why GHI's plan was so great for our retirees, $4 for a doctor's visit. And that just went up recently to $15. So it's a disgrace that our guys have to put up with plans like that. You can't support a family. You're forced to go to get another job.
What else isn't covered?
There's nothing.
Okay.
There's nothing covered. It's only doctor, and at the time I had it, it was only a $4 reimbursement.
Now it's 15. So a
now
doctor
it's 15.
costs you how much?
Well, I had taken my wife to NYU Medical Center to have an ear specialist look at her. I was charged $160.
And you got back?
I got back $4.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
Well,
it's ridiculous.
I stay with HIP because my problems with my blood and all, and I would hate to see what it would cost me if I had to go out to the other plan. But the thing that somebody brought up to me, if you wanted to move out of New York, like the best thing for me, because of the arthritis and everything else, would be a dry climate. Not that I would move because my wife's family's here and all, but if I could move, I couldn't move to Arizona because I'd have to go to GHI and I wouldn't be able to afford it.
Right.
Just my back pills, if I go strictly on what the doctor recommended, my medication, which I can't afford anyway, be $2,800 a year just for my back. It's Ultram, 50 milligram, and I'm supposed to take 12 of them a day.
Right.
Because I just couldn't afford that. I can't see retiring to make a pharmacist rich when you retire. It's supposedly your turn.
But what's wrong, guys? There's a piece I don't get here. Wall Street is doing fabulously, right? There's money pouring in and out the windows. They say we're in the best economy in all of our lifetimes. You know, how could this be? What's going on here? Am I missing something? Or?
Well,
They don't care about the retirees.
So you guys are all living essentially in the same economy you lived in when you retired.
No question.
And we have others who've retired 20 years before you guys, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm lucky than all
worse
three of these
conditions.
guys because I just retired, so it hasn't hit me as bad as them. But in 5 years, it would be the cost of living and everything else will get to that point.
But you've already been in a position where you have no drug plan and you need medication.
Right.
And,
Which I didn't count on.
And you have to make a choice between, necessities of life and pain, right? I mean, that's really what it boils down to.
Definitely.
This job has gotten so bad. I attend most wakes that I can, but it seems every week I'm going to a wake.
Just
I
know
was at
another
one
guy.
last night for Tony Ruggiero. Tony was a great guy in this job, and Tony, he had a stroke and's been in a nursing home over 14 years, I guess now. Maybe I got the years wrong. I'm not too sure, but I used to go up to see Tony every once in a while. It was great to go talk over old times with him, but it's a shame to lose guys like that. And a lot of Tony's stuff was connected to this job. I don't care what anybody says. A young guy like that, he was in good shape, Tony. He was a great guy. He wasn't a drinker or nothing like that.
When you guys first drove buses, too, you had asbestos brakes, right? I mean, the brakes on the buses were made of asbestos.
Yeah.
So, and you remember that smell you used to get sometimes? You'd hit the brakes, you could
mean when the
smell
brakes
them
worked?
burning?
Right.
When they worked,
When they worked,
the ones
yeah.
that worked. I wonder how many of our members have inhaled asbestos over the years, and how many of these guys that are dying now.
Well, even the
Of
depots
cancer.
were loaded with that. Also, the depots themselves, the buses were completely loaded with it.
Right. I have
and
a question on
the
that.
depots themselves were loaded with it.
Why did they move the break room from one side of Castleton Avenue to the other? From what I heard, somebody in the neighborhood complained that the smell from that was doing something. I don't know if that's true or not, but I know they moved the break room. And when I walk past there's a vent that blows down, and I try and walk on the other side of the street because there is a smell.
The smell will come down.
And it's amazing that all these vents are coming out from the workshop and all, and right up above it are all the windows for the offices, and it comes right back into the depot, it seems like.
Well, the other thing is dealing with management over the years. I mean, my impression is they don't care. And they hide things. I mean, why did they move the break room? I don't know.
If that's a true fact, I'm only going by what I heard. I don't know the specifics on that, but that's something you'd have to look into.
I can tell you that about a month ago, we brought in industrial hygienists to look at all these things in the garages. Management was absolutely crazy. I mean, they held meetings. They threatened not to let us in.
I heard they threatened to lock you up.
Yeah. They literally told us they would not let our hygienist on the property to examine the place, just to look and see if it was safe. And you wonder what makes a boss that way. These are people who work driving and fixing buses, and now they're managers, and that's how they feel about their workers. Was that your experience over the years, guys?
They change. They seem to go through a brainwashing system once they become a management. It's like one day they're your pals, they're working alongside of you. And the next day, as soon as they become a manager, they change. They're not the same anymore.
There's still a few guys that haven't changed, but there's a lot of pressure on them to toe the line, the company line. I know a few guys. I'm not mentioning anybody's name, but I saw what they did to a few guys too. They put one guy was in charge of the depot, and the next minute he didn't do what they were supposed to do. They put him on a corner checking buses at one time. You know what I'm referring to. And he tried to work with the men. He tried to do the right thing. And the guy they put in there, I knew very well, and I had to go in for a day off for a problem that I had. If you remember the problem I had with my children, and I needed a day off, which I was promised. And he said, well, I can't give you that day off. And this was a very big to-do with the TA, and they took advantage of it. It was really nice press for them for a while because they were going to be nice and help me out and all that. And the new guy came in, oh, no, you can't get the day off, I'm over quota. I had to squeeze it in between my run just to go to the, do what I had to do.
Nothing's changed, Dan. There was a guy in the depot the other day, his wife just gave birth, tried to get a day off. I know he had to call you up to get the day off. They wouldn't give him the day off. A disgrace. I mean, even the government passed a law on that. That you have to give the man off. And they're defying the federal government now.
On the
So they
job,
don't care.
which adds to
They don't
whatever
care.
you're doing. You know, if you have stress other than the normal stress of driving a bus, which if anybody's done it, especially today, you know it's hard. You have taxi cabs weaving in and out, trucks double parked, and you're trying to get people from Staten Island up to 57th Street. And it's, I don't know how I did it. I really don't. I look back on it, and the first 20 years was easy. The last 5 got to be really tough. It was a struggle.
And then the payoff after all these years is no health plan.
Well,
You have no hospitalization.
hospitalization
doctor visits,
because
but-
I have the hip,
Right.
which is great for me, but if you have the other one, you're paying through your pocket.
You're restricted on where you can live. I mean, it's like he said, Arizona would probably do him a great deal of good. But if you went out there, you have no coverage.
There's no reward at the end of the tunnel. That's the way it seems, you know. Unless you happen to be old enough, God forbid, that you go on Medicare and you do get the drug coverage. But if you retire at age 50 and you don't want to go to work again because of your back or whatever you have, your problem.
Not that you don't want to go to work, you can't.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. You can't. You got to, whatever you have, you're paying out for drugs anyway because you retired because of a condition. And it's just not going to help.
Well, I'll tell you, this year we're going to be, our contract expires, and we're going to be calling on the governor and the mayor, and we want to remind the people, the governor and the mayor run this place, to do something about it.
And like you said, there's a lot of money out there, but it doesn't seem to be flowing back this way. And that's the problem.
I heard there's a lot of money in a retirement fund, and only meant for retirees. I don't know the facts, figures, and all that, but people were talking like $40 billion, and all it does is accrue interest. It just builds up. Why don't they give that to the people that it was made for? And from the facts and figures that I heard, just talking to a couple of guys in the union, you wouldn't even be touching the principal. You'd just be touching the interest. And that's money that can go back into the economy of New York.
I'm getting the high sign. It's a really important topic, and we'll talk about it on our next show. But pension COLA, there's no question it's something that's very important, and it really there's a way the city can do it without it costing them a whole lot of money. I want to thank you guys. 90 years of experience driving buses here on Staten Island. I want to thank you for coming down, and let's see what we can do together to get all these things addressed in the contract.
Okay, Larry.
Thank you, Larry.
Thank you.